Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Transcendent. Transcendent is the weekly Facebook broadcast of San Antonio in black, white, and brown. Black, and white, and brown. SABWB is a leadership space where influencers from every race, position, and perspective come together for two main purposes. One is to learn to trust one another. Two, it is to collaborate or to work together on both the value and the implementation of principles that shape the culture. So ultimately, SABWB's goal is to shape the culture. Newsflash, it is already being shaped by someone, by some force, by some ideology, by some philosophy. The culture of our city is already being shaped, but it should be shaped by those who have a heart for an environment that is conducive for the growth, the health, the emotional welfare, the spiritual welfare of everyone in our city. And that doesn't just happen, people. You and I have to make that happen. You are going to see on your screen in a moment, I don't see it currently, but you're going to see on your screen in a moment a gift package which we provide for you because we want to give to you. As we're asking you to give, to partner with us, we want to give to you. And I have some exciting updates concerning some features in that gift package. I see it on my phone. I don't see it on my computer screen, so I'm going to go with what's on my phone. There on the screen, you see several items. I usually take these items out and show them to you one by one, reserving the coffee mug for last. So since I don't have them presently with me, I'm going to talk through them because they're on your screen. There's a koozie in there, as you see. It's a place for your cold drinks. It's getting hot in San Antonio, and so you're going to need a mechanism to handle your cold drinks and not get sweaty and wet on your hands. A place where you can put it down on something and it not leave a wet ring or a sweat ring on your table either. That koozie will help you do that. Of course, it's embossed with SABWB on it to give you an opportunity to tell others about what you are supporting as an SABWB supporter, which you can do for as little as $10 a month. I believe in the power of the small donation. When everybody gets involved, a little bit from everybody turns into a whole lot, and we're able to further the vision of SABWB, which is to shape the culture of San Antonio through the pillars of influence that are already in existence in our city, already have leaders in those pillars of influence, and we're getting on the same page. Our goal, my call, SABWB's call, is to get us on the same page so that we're intentionally creating the kind of culture in San Antonio that is conducive both for the moral, the spiritual, the academic, the business, the political life in our city that makes it the world-class city that we know San Antonio is destined to be. So that koozie is a part of your gift package. There are two books in that gift package as well. They're both written by the late, great Alan Vincent, a man whom I had the privilege of meeting with several times as he laid his hands on me and prayed for me. And in those moments, the deposit of heaven is made and something very precious happens. And I'm thankful for every time that I had a chance to spend with him. And I'm glad that the Lord opened his heart to me, certainly opened my heart to him. And I'm thankful that he has left such a deposit in the earth, but he has, and some in the form of these two books, one called Heaven on Earth, that chronicles how God used him and his wife Eileen to literally shape the nation of India at last count. And that last count has been several years ago now. 5,000 churches have been born out of what God did through his life and the life of his wife. She is back in Great Britain, serving the Lord there. She'll be 89 years old this year, but you wouldn't know it by looking at her or listening to her. She's a woman full of vibrancy and life. Alan wrote the book Heaven on Earth to chronicle how God used him, and then he wrote a second book, The Kingdom at War. That second book is a handbook, and it's like a handbook, grabbing some understanding and some revelation to teach you and me in our present day how to successfully wage spiritual warfare and make the kind of difference in the culture that our hearts really want to make. So I'm thankful that we have that opportunity to gather with you and to give you those gifts. The reason I saved the coffee mug for last, it's also embossed with SABWB on it, and it has our motto, shaping the culture through prayer and fasting, prayer and action, shaping the culture through prayer and action. Because when you pray effectively, which includes fasting sometimes, when you pray effectively, God gives you a course of action. And you come out with that course of action and you do it, and God endorses it by his own strength and power. And your life is blessed as a result of it. So you're going to see that unfold. That cup has SABWB embossed on it because we are also, SABWB is directly involved in a venture where coffee is concerned. I've been telling you about this for months now. Well, finally, the coffee. I'm actually in Houston tonight. So we're in the city where the coffee is being housed at this moment. It's probably already been picked up and be headed to San Antonio tomorrow. So by next Tuesday, I may be sipping a cup of a Be Easy coffee on the program with you, and certainly we'll be exposing Be Easy coffee to you during our annual conference. And I'm going to talk something about the annual conference tonight. So that's our gift giving opportunity, our partnership opportunity. I want you to stay tuned. Right after this commercial, I'm going to come back and talk to you about some very important things in relationship to our conference, and of course about the voting date this coming Saturday. I think is the 6th of May. Yes, it's Saturday. May 6th is the day when those of you who have not already participated in voting down Prop A, you have an opportunity, final opportunity, as I will. I took Saturday's opportunity, not because I didn't want to vote, not because I didn't have a chance to vote in early voting. I did, but I chose to vote the last day because I don't want my vote manipulated. And I want them to have the least amount of time to manipulate my vote. I'll say it that way. So I'll see you at the polls on Saturday, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Before I do that, let's go to commercial, and I will come right back to you with some exciting stuff right after this. All right, I'm here in Rwanda, and we're up in the coffee farms right now. So I've been telling you about the upcoming Be Easy Coffee organic premium coffee. And these are beans that I have in my hand. These are brand new beans. There's already a harvest already in place. These are just the early parts of the second harvest. And these beds that you see that are now empty will be full of organic premium coffee beans. And you have an opportunity to get a bag of Be Easy coffee for yourself. And we're going to work, of course, as I said before, on the San Antonio blend for SABWB. You'll be able to get your coffee mug and sip premium organic coffee. I told you it was coming, and it's on the way. Okay. So we are indeed excited about presenting to you in the very near future. As I said, the coffee is here in the city of Houston in a controlled storage unit that is approved by the FDA. It will be shipped to San Antonio as early as tomorrow. And so by next week, you'll be finding out about how you can get a bag of Be Easy coffee or a pack of Be Easy coffee. And you're doing so. It's all organic and it's all premium grade coffee. It's A grade coffee. Starbucks uses C grade coffee. This is A grade coffee. Starbucks covers their C grade coffee with creamers and sugars and flavors, and they do a good job at it. Obviously, they've cornered the market, so to speak, where coffee is concerned. But this is A grade premium organic coffee. It's going to hit the ground running. Your purchase of that coffee supports SABWB as a ministry, and it lifts farmers halfway around the world. It lifts farmers out of the doldrums of poverty and disease and lack by your sipping on a cup of coffee. You can sip on a cup of coffee and change the world right here in our own city in San Antonio, because it will be going, that will be marketed through SABWB, will support SABWB, and then that other portion will go right back to two nations, Rwanda and Malawi, lifting farmers halfway around the world. I'm so excited. My youngest daughter, Marcia, this is her brainchild and her birth. So for it to come to full circle and actually leave the fields of Rwanda, be shipped, get here, get through customs, and get through all of that, and be able to be marketed is a big deal where her efforts are concerned. And we're so glad that God has paved a way for her to do that. You'll be hearing more from her as well because of what God is doing just mightily through her life. And we're so thankful for it. Thank you for being a part of that. So I told you it was coming, and sure enough, it'll be in San Antonio as early as tomorrow. So be looking for its forthcoming as we move this needle forward. Okay, tonight I want to just take a couple of minutes with you. I'll probably be briefer than normal. It's 8:16 right now. I anticipate that probably by 8:50 we'll be done tonight. I want to take this early portion because I want to concentrate on the conference tonight. This is where our attention is going to be, on the SABWB annual conference. So the title of our program bears that title tonight. It's on May the 18th through the 20th. May the 18th through the 20th. This is a conference that you don't want to miss. You remember I said that leaders from every race, position, and perspective come together at SABWB. Our conference is kind of an example of that. A lot of races of people that are doing kingdom stuff in the spheres of influence in our city. A lot of it you don't know about. So one aim of the conference is to expose what is happening in these leadership centers that the people of God are already engaged in. Their impact is already being felt. And this is the exciting thing that will happen as a result of the conference as well. There will come forth the emergence of a kingdom government in our city, where city elders, men and women, are recognized in their particular roles and influence, and that we collectively take responsibility for the spiritual trajectory of a city of more than 1.5 million people. We're number 7 in terms of the largest cities in the nation. We're number 7. And we're quickly growing and rivaling number 6. We're quickly rivaling Phoenix, Arizona. It's likely that we will move into that 6th spot before 2024 is done. So San Antonio is a growing metropolis. It is a beautiful city with beautiful people. We have to take responsibility for how that city grows. What will be the environment in that city? We're not a people who are taking a back seat and looking for someone else to shape the culture of San Antonio. We have taken personal responsibility to do so. Thank you for joining me tonight, guys, as well. Go ahead and comment and share. If you're on YouTube, do that little thing you do. DJ, I see you, man. And Stephen, thanks for looking in. Melba, thanks as well. You guys go ahead and like and comment and share as we are able to move the ball forward here on our broadcast tonight. So the conference is upcoming. It's May 18th through the 20th. The theme is kingdom governance. The theme of the conference is kingdom governance. How does the kingdom of God rule? Now, I want to take you to our theme scripture for the conference. It's in the book of Daniel, the 4th chapter. I'm not going to teach on it. I'm just going to present it to you because we'll be unpacking the scenario around Daniel 4:17 during the week of our conference. But I want to draw your attention to it. That's right after the book of Ezekiel, Daniel is. And go to chapter 4 of Daniel. And there was a lot of stuff happening in that book to kind of set it up for you. Judah, the southern kingdom of Israel, had, like their older sister, like their younger sister in the north, had begun to walk in rebellion toward God, and God suffered their enemies to come and overtake them. God permitted their enemies to come and overtake them. And in the case of the north, they trooped off 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel and scattered them over the face of the earth. There were 2 tribes left in the southern kingdom, the tribe of Judah and Benjamin. These are the 2 sons that Jacob had by the wife that he loved most, Rachel. And of course, half the tribe of Manasseh was there, as well as some of the priesthood, some of the Levitical priesthood made up the south. But then they begin to do exactly what their older sister in the north had done. They stiffened their heart toward God, turned their back on his ways, and God caused their enemies to come and take them over. And they took them into Babylon. Some of the people they took into Babylon was Daniel. You recall that perhaps if you familiar in any way with children's ministry, you've heard of Daniel in the lion's den, or you've heard also of his 3 friends, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, whom you know more familiarly, yes, as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You're more familiar with those names. They are the 3 Hebrew boys that faced the fiery furnace. So Judah was taken into captivity by Babylon, and Daniel was one of the teens early in the book, teenagers. These were the children of captivity. Daniel was a child of captivity, and so was Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. They were children of captivity. But God was with them, and they flourished in the midst of their captivity. These young men stepped forward and began to take leadership roles and charted the course of the destiny of their people while they were in captivity. And of course, Daniel interpreted dreams. He did that several times in the book of Daniel. And actually in Daniel chapter 4 is the second note of a time when he is interpreting the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. You might remember the first time that the 7 ears of corn came up, and the 7 good and fatty ears, and the 7 blasted ears, and the good and fatty ears ate the blasted ears ate the good and fat ears, and 7 cows came up plenteous, and then 7 skinny cows came up, and the skinny cows ate the fat cows, and you couldn't even tell that they had eaten the fat cows. And the interpretation God gave to Daniel, and he ended up I'm sorry, that's Joseph. I just told you a story about Joseph. Daniel interpreted the dream of the king. Daniel interpreted the dream of the king of an image that he had seen, the gold and the Medo-Persians and the Alexander the Great and the Romans. So he interpreted that for the king and let him know that God was going to actually lay out dynasties before him. And so the king honored Daniel as a result of it. Then the king had a second dream. Big old tree is up and it reaches to the heights of heaven. Everybody sees it, and animals lodge under it, and birds are in its nest, and all of that. And he called all of their soothsayers and said to Daniel, said to them, interpret the dream, and none of them could. Then he remembered there is somebody who can. So he called in Daniel. Daniel interprets the dream for him. It was a word of warning from God to the king. And God would get something over to the king. Nebuchadnezzar was not a man of God. Nebuchadnezzar was not one who believed in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He served idols. He himself was considered a god. So he had nothing that would make him honor or bestow honor upon the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But once Daniel interpreted this second dream of Nebuchadnezzar, here's what he said in verse 17. Daniel chapter number 4, verse 17. This is the theme scripture of our conference upcoming. This matter is the decree of the watchers and the demand by the holy ones, to the intent, this is the portion we're focusing on, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. That the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men. When we have finished our conference, when we have finished exposing what God is already doing in the spheres of influence, you'll be able to say with conviction that God is ruling in the kingdom of men, that something is going on greater than anybody can calculate because of God's wisdom and his power to carry it out through his people. That's already taking place. We're going to look at several aspects of where God is at work, and I want to talk to you more about those aspects in a moment, but we're going to go to commercial now, and after commercial, I'm going to come back and start unpacking some things for you, and we'll close out tonight with a need for you to go to the polls on Saturday if you have not already gone to the polls. All right, so we'll be right back right after this commercial.
Hello, my name is Kathy Carizales, and I'm here to invite you to the I Pray experience here in person at 8023 Vantage Drive, Suite 313, or watch us on Facebook Live at SABWB TX. We are excited to pray for the needs of the city or our government, and we hope that you can join us, like I said, online or in person. It is the Lord's desire that we would spend time with him and get his job done on earth. God bless you, and I hope to see you.
And we do hope to see you. We hope to see you each Friday for our I Pray experience in our offices there at 8023 Vantage Drive at 10 a.m. And we pray from 10 to 11. And we're going after it. We're going after the works and the power of the kingdom of God in prayer. So if you're available to be with us live, then do. From wherever you are, you can just put us on your desk and listen as we pray, and you can silently agree with us. Ernest, thanks for watching tonight. I'm glad you're on. You can listen with us from wherever you are from 10 to 11. And if you missed that, then you can also catch it by archive, because it's archived on that page as well, SABWB TX. You can find us there and pray along with us. All right, so I want to get back to the subject of our conference because I don't want you to miss this conference. As I said, there will be people, influencers from all of the pillars of influence in our city. And I got to tell you, I'm just thrilled and excited to be able to bring to you the quality of ministry that is already taking place in our city. We're going to look at the church. We're going to look at the kingdom's influence through the church. That is through people who gather during days of the week, whether it's at a house church or whether it might be at a physical location, building in the city of San Antonio. What's going on in all of that? You're going to discover how spiritual growth, the spiritual growth of the believers that shape the culture, what the church is doing to help them spiritually grow. What is that? What is spiritual growth? And what the church is doing to help them do it. Pastor Eli Bonilla, whom I fondly and lovingly call Batman because he's such a chief character and such a spiritual force in our city. He pastors Vida Abundante Church. He's going to be talking about the church's responsibility in the area of spiritual growth. Following him will be Pastor Gene Leffler. Gene leads Lighthouses of Prayer International. These are, most of you perhaps may not even know about LPI, but it's strong. It's doing a great work in our city, largely through neighborhoods. It started out under the watch of Joan Courtney, and it was associated with the Billy Graham crusade praying in, preparing the ground for the Billy Graham crusade that happened back in 1996 or 7. And it just kept, Joan picked that prayer banner up, and she at that time called it Women's Neighborhood Prayer. There were women who were meeting in neighborhoods for the purpose of praying, and God seeded that prayer ministry into the city of San Antonio through Joan Courtney. Joan and her husband LC wanted to, they believed that God sent a season of change into their lives. They're older and they wanted to just be with the Lord and be with each other, not have so much of the responsibility. And God told her that a pastor needed to lead that work going forward. That pastor turned out to be Gene Leffler, who pastors River of Life Church here there in the city of San Antonio. I'm in Houston tonight. But God also gave him a dual responsibility to lead what was Women's Neighborhood Prayer that turned into Women's Prayer International. It moved out of beyond the neighborhood, didn't move out. Hello, Maryland. It didn't move out of the neighborhood. It moved beyond the neighborhood to an international setting. Women who were in San Antonio praying ended up in other nations, and they wanted to start prayer meetings there. So Women's Neighborhood Prayer turned into Women's Prayer International. And then God began to speak to Joan's heart about not only a pastor needing to take over, but for men's prayer groups to begin to form across the city as well. And it's already happening, people. It is now called Lighthouses of Prayer International, and both men and women are praying in homes all over the city. I want you to find out about it. I want you, as God speaks to your heart, that your home may become a lighthouse of prayer in the city of San Antonio. Gene's going to tell us about that more in detail on during the conference. Following him will be Rob Wallace. Rob has SA PrayerNet, and Rob is a part of, he's in league with Joe Cadell and some others in an organization called Faith Rising. But Rob's focus is on the prayer net side. There's over 300 intercessors. Did you know that? There's over 300 intercessors involved in a prayer meeting. In fact, we're going to have a prayer meeting on June the 4th at the church of a dear friend who's like a brother to me in ministry. God has tracked our lives similarly in timing. Pastor Keith Graham of the great Now Word Covenant Church. We're going to be holding a prayer gathering at Now Word on June 4th. Because this is not the first time. There have been other places where these intercessors have met and they have come for the purpose of prayer. That's happening, folks. But they'll be able to impact and unpack more of and tell about what God is doing in respect to prayer. So Ellie Bonilla is going to do spiritual growth. The church is responsible for spiritual growth. Gene Leffler and Rob Wallace is going to do something on prayer. I'm going to confirm 2 other voices whose churches and ministries are always in the street. They are taking the commission beyond the 4 walls. I call it kingdom mobilization. I won't give their names until I've confirmed with them, but they will be there to tell about what the church is doing outside of its 4 walls and what they have seen God do in incredible ways. You don't want to miss this. It kind of gives you a spiritual mapping of what is taking place in the city of San Antonio. And that's with the church alone. But we're going to examine other places where the church is already powerfully at work in the culture. And I want to tell you more about it right after this commercial. So we're going to commercial, and I'll be right back to tell you some more about why you don't want to miss the annual conference this year. It's going to be life-changing. I'll be right back right after this.
I think Chris Schuhart will make a great mayor. Working for him has been an amazing experience. He's a great leader, and he produces leaders. He's a wonderful person in the way he handles things with finesse. Any type of problem, there's never a moment where we feel like we're out of control. He's a great businessman and more of a friend than a boss. I think Chris Schuhart will make a great mayor. Chris Schuhart is a leader that San Antonio needs.
So make sure that you cast your votes on May 6th for the mayoral leadership of our city, as well as each of the candidates in the districts. That there are people who won't put forth something like the Proposition A, alter our city charter to include those kinds of both a position and principles that turn San Antonio into a Los Angeles or a Chicago or a Portland, Oregon, or a New Orleans. These kinds of principles have wrecked cities, and an organization assisted by our present civil leadership has sought to put these kinds of laws to work in our city. It will ruin the city of San Antonio, but your vote on May 6th will change all of that and put San Antonio back on a course that it should be on, which is healthy for all of its citizens, and nurtures and cultivates an atmosphere in the city where everybody wins. So I told you about the church, those three areas of spiritual growth, prayer, and kingdom mobilization. But we're also going to talk about the kingdom's expression in business. You're going to hear from an immigrant. Actually, she and her mother crossed the border illegally, came into the States illegally. They are now nationalized citizens. Her father, who was an American citizen, applied for their citizenship and was rejected. So they came across illegally. They got with the husband and wife, rejoined, and they were able to get their legal citizenship. But what God has done with this immigrant's life since then is nothing short of amazing. I want you to meet her. She also wants to lead in a political way in our city, particularly in Bexar County. She's well qualified. So I don't want to steal all the thunder. She's an incredible woman. And you'll get a chance to meet her and see what God has done with her, both on the national and international scales. She's already having tremendous international impact. And she's going to speak about what God is doing in the business space. There'll be some other voices and some feature events that it's going to make this something you don't want to miss. You're going to grow from that. You're going to grow through this opportunity, and you'll be blessed by it. So you'll also hear what God is doing, what the kingdom is doing in the sphere of education. Right now, our legislative session, and in fact, the reason I'm in Houston tonight, the reason Janice and I are here in this hotel room tonight is because we just left a meeting where the two-time world champion George Foreman stood to make a statement and to introduce the governor of the state of Texas as the fight is being pressed toward accomplishing school choice here in the state of Texas. This is not a political issue because the polls have already determined that whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you believe that parents should have the choice as to where their children go to school, and their money, their tax money, should follow their decision. You believe, the polls are already in, that the funding should not go toward institutions, the funding should go toward the children. And the governor said tonight, he said it a few times, but in other gatherings where I've heard him, But he said again tonight, Governor Greg Abbott says that he is putting more money in the public school sector than he has put more money in the public school sector than any other governor. His wife is a school teacher, a public school teacher. So they have an interest in public school, but they also know that certain schools are failing. And when they fail, that means children are failing. And when a child is not reading at the third grade level, by the time they're in the third grade, they begin the process of entering into the school to prison pipeline. School to prison, school to prison. If you're not reading at the third grade level, by the time you're in the third grade, prison construction starts with you in mind, because they know you learn to read up till the third grade. You learn to read. From the third grade on, you read to learn. You learn to read from the beginning to the third grade. Your beginning may be in pre-K, but from pre-K to third grade, you're learning to read. From third grade on, you're reading to learn. So if you've not gotten it, by the time you're in the third grade, you're going to fall further and further and further behind. Statistically, you're going to drop out of the educational system, and that means you're going to get involved in a money-making system, usually that is not legal. And so the prison system starts to anticipate picking you up, picking a child up who has not mastered reading at the third grade level by the time they're in the third grade. We heard tonight, Janice and I was sitting in the audience, and I was appalled by this statement, but the head of the Texas Education Association stands before the legislative body this session and said that only 19% of the curriculum that is being used to educate our children, listen to this, only 19% of the curriculum used to educate our children is actually at grade level. What does that mean? It means that if your child is in the 8th grade, there's an 81. There's an 81% chance that they're not studying material that is 8th grade level. There is an 81% chance that they're not studying material that is 8th grade level. They're studying material that is lower than that 8th grade level. If your child is in the 5th grade, there's an 81% chance that they are not learning material at the 5th grade level. They're learning it at a lower level. Now, when you educate children that poorly in a state where there are 6.8 million children in the public school system, school choice forces competition. These education savings accounts that is proposed in the bills that are going forward in the current legislative session would mean that $8,000 per child would follow that child to the school that the parent chooses to send the child to, not the school district that they are right now required to put their child. Required. So if the school is failing, you're still required to put your child there. If the school is violent, you're still required to put your child there. If the school is under equipped, you're required to put your child there. School choice breaks all of that. It says to the parent, wherever you think your child is best educated, $8,000 a year will follow that child to that school. And that includes parochial and private schools. Follow the child to wherever the parent wants that child educated. You'll hear about that in detail from some of the experts at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. They will be talking about the kingdom in education. So you're going to hear about it in business, you're going to hear about it in education, and you'll hear about it in media as well. And I'll tell you more about what you're going to hear in media when I return from this commercial. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Chris Schuhart would make a great mayor. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. He gave me an opportunity, and I had no experience, taught me everything about construction. I now have my own business thanks to Chris. He's a good, honest family man. He's a great businessman. Chris Schuhart would make a great mayor.
So the time has come for you to decide, San Antonio, do you want the status quo to continue, or do you feel like it's time for new blood? It's time for a new vision, and it's time for a new direction. You get to decide. Now, here's the sad thing. Here's the sad part. And it's almost, no, it's not almost, it's pitiful. It is completely pitiful. I just discovered this just a few days ago. Back in 2013, we began to try to roll back some stuff that was done at the city level with a falsely labeled ordinance called the Non-Discrimination Ordinance. It was everything but that, but that's on purpose. That's on purpose. I heard Myra Flores, who spent a special election that she won down on the coast. She's a wife of a Border Patrol agent, and she won a special election and a seat that had not been won by her party since forever from that region of Texas. But she won it. Here's what she said. She said, first of all, she said, I was wondering after I had won and I'm there, and she said, my first thoughts was, how did I get here? How did I get here? She'd won this special election. She said she began to work with the legislators, and pretty soon she was asking the question, how did they get here? So she hammered out her special session. She did not win in the general election because there is a process. But I trust that God is, I know she's still active because I just heard her, Kate, that I'm not on the air. So I'm going to keep talking until my producer tells me something different. But so I'll keep doing that. Okay, so we're back on. So all of that's going on, and you'll get a chance to hear about all of that. You're going to hear about the kingdom in education. You're going to hear about the kingdom in business. You're going to hear about the kingdom in the church. You're going to hear about the kingdom in media. Two very sharp people. A young man named Robbie Chavez will come online and tell you how, just following a hunch, he got into the media space and has now got over 1 million following him on social media, and now people are paying him to advertise their stuff. He's an incredible voice, a young voice. Then you're going to hear from another man from California who has been involved in the media space, making movies, doing all kinds of different things, bringing the kingdom's voice to bear in the media space. You're going to hear more about this man. Pretty soon, we'll be putting out feeding some more information to you about our guest that will be on. I'm in deliberation with a world-class instructor on global finance. What will happen if the dollar loses its status as the world reserve currency. There is no one more qualified on the planet to discuss that than Uli Kortz. Uli Kortz. He and I are in deliberation about his participation as well. Things are looking good, so pray, because again, there's no more. Maybe Mark Nuttall, who is also very insightful man concerning the movement of money from the local person, the average Joe and Jane Christian, to the money movers, to churches that have tons of resources in banks. What do we do in the light of the future of the dollar? Folks, you don't want to miss this stuff. You don't want to miss what you will experience at the conference, the SABWB annual conference this year, entitled Kingdom Governance. We got a lot to do and a lot to experience together. I want to take you to one more commercial, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you why May 6th is a big deal, why you need to get there and vote on May 6th. My producer's telling me that she doesn't have another commercial, so I'm going to roll on with it then. It's 8:52 right now, so it's about time anyway. About time to say goodnight to you. Here's why you have to go to May 6th. You've heard a lot about Proposition A. You've seen signs all over the city. Oh, thank God, I remember this before we got off the air. What we did tonight, what I did tonight, is in line with what I'm about to tell you about two things. I'm going to tell you about Prop A. Proposition A is dangerous for the city of San Antonio, as I said at the top of our hour. But only about 15 to 20% of eligible people vote. I was going to tell you before I cut away to commercial that when we fought an ordinance back in 2013, there was 685,000 plus registered voters in Texas. That's what is that? 7-3. That's 10 years ago. 2013 is 10 years ago. I learned just a couple of weeks ago that the registered voters in the city of San Antonio now number over 1 million. Is 1,030,000 registered voters, somewhere north, slightly north of 1,030,000 registered voters here in the city of San Antonio. But traditionally, only about 15% of them, a little over 100,000, maybe 15,000 people, 150,000 people, come out to vote. So the rest of the registered voters have been swallowed up by the monster of passivity. And they allow the other people who are active in the voting process to determine what kind of environment they're going to live in. People like to focus attention on federal elections and state elections, but don't you understand that the most impactful election that has direct impact upon your life as a person are your local elections? Your local elections, and this year particularly because Prop A is on the ballot, not to just become a city ordinance, but to change the city's charter. Charter amendments are very, very difficult to change back. You have to get a high percentage. I think it's 20% of it used to be 20% of those who voted. So if 65,000 people voted, you only needed 6,500 votes. But they changed, the city changed the wording to reflect not 10% of those who voted, but 10% of all of the registered voters, if you want to change something. So the system has made it very difficult to change something if only a handful of people are active. Show the city that you care about the trajectory of your city. Vote Prop A down. Vote against Proposition A. Now, before I leave you tonight, this is an action. This is a take action step. I've already done it. I was in a briefing tonight where the two-time world champion George Foreman introduced the governor, and they made it clear that there are 4 school choice. So did the wonderful Dr. Dana Carson, who leads the Great Rock Church and its locations, its several locations here in the city of Houston. A great man. In fact, I met him personally probably about 5 or 6 months ago. First time I met him, we were in Austin, actually speaking at the Texas Public Policy Foundation on a panel together. The second time I met him was in his church at one of the locations here in the city of Houston. And I asked him for a tour, and he took me and another friend of mine, Michael Benjamin, on a tour through that church and what he was doing as God had led him. There was so much that God has placed in his hand. He worked so diligently and so tirelessly to fulfill the purpose of God. It was inspiring to me. It was inspiring to walk through that location. It's only one of 3 locations that he has here in the city of Houston. And when we got in the car, Michael Benjamin said to me, "What did we just witness?" He has a library that is full of books, mostly written by him. Some others in it, I mean, subjects that are so necessary. He runs a Bible college on his campus. We just witnessed an android posing as a pastor. To get that much done, I don't see how he does it. Just incredible, incredible. They stood tonight, and he said, Dr. Dana Carson and the Rock Church is for parent empowerment and for school choice. Well, at the end of the night, the governor said, you guys are the ones who have to make the change. You've got to get on your social media, and you've got to let your legislators know that you want school choice. The polls have already come out and let us know, black, white, brown, red, or yellow, Republican or Democrat, all of you want school choice. But there are lobbyists. Here's what the governor said. There are lobbyists in Austin that is paid partially by your tax dollars who are in the ears of the elected officials telling them you don't want this. They're there every day walking the halls of Austin telling the elected officials you don't want this when the polls say you do want this. So you have to raise your voice. Here is a simple way I did it tonight. I did it tonight. And you can do it too. Right here on this card, put your cell phone on that QR code. When you put your cell phone on that QR code, it's going to take you directly to your state representative. It's going to take you directly to your state representative. Go ahead and do it now. I did it. It took me a matter of seconds. Put your phone on that QR code, your camera phone. It will take you directly to your state representative. And there is a message that you can send him, an email message you can send to him or her, telling them you want them to vote for school choice. Tell them that you want them to vote for school choice. Let them know you are a constituent in their voting area and that you want them to support school choice. Right there is a QR code for it. Right there it is. I'm getting a message from Dr. Johnson as I'm talking to you. Right now. That's the action you can take tonight. All of you viewing can take that action. That email is logged in Austin. Your voice is heard. I'll put it on the screen again. You don't think I will? I'll do it again. There it is right there. Take the time to put your phone over that. It takes about 30 seconds to do it. I've done it tonight. That QR code will take you right to your elected official. You fill out the information there, you send the message that is attached to it, and they hear your voice saying to them, vote for school choice. I'm sorry, yes, vote for school choice. That's an action step that you can take tonight. All right, so I wanted to gather with you tonight to remind you about the upcoming SABWB conference. Don't miss that. You're getting contact information, you're getting text, and you're getting emails, and registration is actively taking place right now. Josh Hurt and the worship team is going to open for us on Thursday night, and then Thursday night from 6:30 till 9 o'clock is our opening night. I'm going to give the opening address. We're going to have a round table that night. You're going to be able to meet people who are powerful movers at that round table. Then the following day is from 9 a.m. to 4 as we unpack what the kingdom is doing in all these different spheres of influence. We're going to dismiss at 4 and come back at 7 for a 7 o'clock service from 7 to 8:30, and then on Saturday from 9 to 1. You don't want to miss it, especially what to do in the light of what is happening in the financial world. And what do I do as a ministry? My money's in banks. Money that churches have for the advancement of the kingdom is in banks. What will happen if all of that collapses? About you who have stocks and bonds, and what would that mean if the world reserve currency has changed? What can I do to prepare? All of that stuff you're going to learn at the SABWB annual conference this year. Kingdom Governance, May 18th through the 20th. Don't miss it. The weekend following the weekend of Mother's Day. Mother's Day is May 14th, that Sunday. So that on that Thursday night, following that Sunday, we start. We do Thursday, Friday, and we're going to have day Saturday. I don't know when Flood the Street is going to take place. Pastor Jimmy Robles is leading that, but we want to encourage you, after we have dismissed you on Saturday, to make your way to Flood the Streets. Plan on the 20th being a landmark day for the life of our city. And we will see you next Tuesday right here, probably with a cup of Be Easy coffee in my hand, giving you an opportunity to partner with us. Go to our website. In closing out, go to our website and become a monthly partner with us. You can also give a number of ways. You saw the 6 ways. Actually, they're on the bottom corner of your screen right now. You can give by way of the website is on the screen there. You click there and become our partner. And you can also give Venmo. You can give by Cash App. You can give by dialing 84321, putting in SABWB and what you want to give. You can go online. You can do it by mail. I just deposited a mail check yesterday. I'm so grateful for the partners that every day partner with us in the way that they can. As little as $10 a month. But if you want to do 100 or 150, as some have done and are doing, if you want to do that, and go ahead and help SABWB in that way. And many of you can help by just buying some premium grade A coffee that you can enjoy. And while you're doing it, you're helping fuel ministry here at SABWB and helping lift farmers halfway around the world. All right. I love you big. I'm thankful that you joined me tonight. And we will see you next Tuesday right here for Transcendent. Love you big. Bye-bye now.